everyone, what's up? It's Lauren, and today I'll be giving some tips that I think could help better your chances or help convince your parent to allow you to do online school. So if you guys didn't know, I actually run the Instagram account Sushi Virgo, and it's got a bit over 80,000 followers. So when I kind of told everyone on there that I do online school, I got so many questions, and they were mainly in the comment section of posts, which is very difficult to respond to and type out an explanation or an answer with each individual comment. So I just wanted to come make a video and kind of answer some questions and just in general hopefully help some people out. So the first thing that I will always tell someone if they want to do online school is that they need to do the research before they ask. Now, I think that this is key, and it's very important, because if you don't do the research and you just straight up ask if you're, maybe you're interested in doing it, and you just straight up ask your parents, hey, can I do online school? They might not immediately want to say yes, and if they have questions like, how do you even get started? What are the benefits of that? What are the pros? What are the cons? And you have no answers to any of their questions, it doesn't help you out. So I just think it's very beneficial to you to make sure that you, before even asking or bringing it up, research it and make sure that any questions you think you would have or you think your parents might have, you have an answer to, because answering it right on the spot just kind of instills more confidence in them and makes them think, maybe it is a good idea, and it also just helps them have a question to their answer that maybe is pretty vital to their saying yes or no to online school. So another thing I definitely recommend is to plan which school you would want to attend. A big question I got a lot was, do you pay for online school? And the answer is that it depends which one you are looking at. So for example, you do have to pay for K-12, but the one that I'm currently going to, Connections Academy, it is free. So make sure you weigh the pros and cons if you think that your parents would allow you to go and that they would be willing to pay for it. Then make sure you know the pros and cons and just weigh out which school you want to go to, because just because they would be willing to pay for it doesn't mean that they have to. So just definitely check out the free ones opposed to the paid ones, and just make sure you know which one you want to go to, because if they're considering it and they're doing research, you want to make sure they're doing research for the particular school that you want to go to. And if you don't have a choice, like whenever I first wanted to do it, I didn't really care. I just wanted to do online school. Just like I said, just still look around and try and pick one, because like I said, that just narrows it down. It narrows down what they might be searching for and what they want to be looking up. And it's just helpful. And again, it's just beneficial for you. Another big thing is that you really want to have good timing for when you're asking your parents about this, especially if you know that your parents are probably not going to like the idea of online school. You want to make sure you're asking them at a convenient time and a time that they're in a good mood or they're not particularly upset or mad, especially not at a time that they're mad at you, because they're more likely to say no. And if your parents are like mine, and when they say no and mean no, the answer is no. You missed it. You missed your chance up, There's no redoing it. So just make sure you're doing it at a time that you think they're likely to be in a good mood or say yes, or even consider it. You don't want to ask at a time where they're doing something and they're super busy and they're not even going to think twice, and they're probably just going to be like, no, go away. Another thing is that there are obviously windows for times that you can actually apply and be accepted. I say that like it's when they look at your credentials, they do, but like you will get accepted as long as you're legal. But yeah, so you can only, like I said, apply at certain times. Obviously if it's the complete middle of the school year, or like the middle of the first semester, you can't really just hop in. There are like limits. I think you can join at like the beginning of the second, semester? I don't even remember what they're called anymore, but like winter break for most people. That's, like when your whole new section starts. You can probably apply then. I applied at the beginning of the year, about a month into school, and luckily that wasn't too late. It was getting really close to the deadline, but I didn't hit it. I was about a week off from the deadline, which was really lucky. But yeah, so you have to make sure you're not asking just like in the middle of the school year. Check to make sure they're still accepting applications, because if it's months until they're accepting them and then you ask, it's kind of pointless. Definitely ask if you want to before the applications open again, just to give your parents time to think about it and research it. But you don't want to do it months before, because then, like I said, that's just kind of pointless, because it doesn't matter if your parents agree or disagree, you can't do it. Another thing is that you have to make sure you actually really want to go into online school. So that might sound a little bit silly or just stupid because like, why would you ask if you don't want to do it? But yeah, you just have to make sure. Because you know, you might think you want it. You might think, oh, staying home in my pajamas all day, getting my work done early, you know, just chilling at home all the time. What don't you like about that? Why wouldn't you want to do it? But there are obviously cons to it. So you just have to make sure you're weighing them appropriately and making sure it's something you actually want to do. So I am going to go over some of those pros and cons that I mentioned before. Some pros that I would definitely say is that for me at least, I wake up at either 6 or 7 a.m. I wake up at 6 if I'm showering, and then I wake up at 7 if I'm not. And I chill and hang out until 8 o'clock, and then I start my work at 8 o'clock. So my schedule goes, I have an algebra live lesson every day at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then sometimes I have afternoon live lessons that last an hour or half an hour. So I'm always working until 8 to 10, and then I do my live lesson at 10:30, and then I work 10:30 to whenever I'm done. I very rarely take breaks. I don't like taking breaks. If I do, maybe I'll like look up at the TV and watch some for 5 minutes, or just kind of take a breather for a minute, but I don't usually take like half an hour or hour-long breaks. I don't like them. I think it's better to just power through it and get it all done. That's not necessarily the best advice though, because your brain does need a break sometimes, so maybe don't listen to me, but that's just what I personally do. And I am usually done with all of my work at around 12 p.m. which is super early considering a lot of schools get out at like 2:30, 3:30. My school personally got out at 3:30 because I chose a 1 through 7 schedule. At my school, probably most high schools, I don't know. You can choose a 1 through 6 or 1 through 7, and I chose 1 through 7, so I got out pretty late. I think I hadn't gotten out that late in a long time since elementary school, so I did not like at all. But yeah, so if you are like me, you will have tons of free time, because I personally, the second it's assigned, I get done. A lot of assignments are like 2-day assignments, and I never leave them to the second day because then that just kind of procrastinates and piles your work. I always get them done the day they're assigned, because then that just takes away something that I would have had to have done tomorrow, and then I just have more free time. I don't know, it's a lot better, and I definitely recommend doing it that way. I'm also most productive in the morning, I feel, which is why I always get my work done in the morning, because if I don't do it in the morning, I'll probably end up waiting until 10 o'clock at night, 12 a.m., 4 a.m., you know, just keep on procrastinating it. And the mornings, I feel that if I didn't do schoolwork in the morning, I would be sleeping in. So for me, it's not really a waste of time, because I probably wouldn't have even been awake had I not woken up and done the work. So if that makes any sense, it kind of just feels like I'm not wasting any time, I'm being productive, and I would have just been sleeping in if I hadn't done my schoolwork. So I enjoy doing it. There are some cons, of course. If you're a very social person, you will not like online school. There's not a whole lot of social interactions with people. They do try and make it's very accessible to be able to interact with other students. However, if you're anything like me and you're really antisocial, you'll probably never end up messaging any of them. I'm talking mainly about Connections Academy because that's what I attend. So when I'm saying stuff like this or referring to like live lessons or webmails, that's why I do Connections. So I don't know about others. But yeah, like I said, they make it pretty easy to contact other students. But if you're like me and antisocial, you probably will never end up doing that. So you just kind of have to rely on the fact that your old friends, or you know, people that you don't see every day that hang out with, or you used to hang out with, that you guys will still be able to get together and hang out on weekends after school, or just text and FaceTime, yada yada. You definitely have to reach out more because you're not seeing them every day anymore. Another big downside is the lack of interaction with your teacher. It is a lot more difficult to get help on an assignment when you're doing online, especially since there are some teachers that only like part-time work there. There was a teacher that I have that grades papers. I started turning them in like a month ago, and they were graded today, and that's because they only have work there. So it would have been very difficult to ever get in contact with her if I really needed to, or I needed help. It would have been like nearly impossible. So even if they worked there full-time, a lot of times they could be busy, they could be at meetings, and there's no substitute obviously. So it's a lot more. If you're someone that frequently feels a need to ask questions or needs help on assignments, it could still be for you. It's just going to be more difficult. If you're someone who is a social butterfly, loves talking to people, making new friends, this is probably, again, it's not for you. If you are attending a sport a lot, or you have a job, you can still get social interactions from those, so I say go for it. But if you're someone like me that's too young for a job and your sport is currently not in season, you might find yourself staying at home a lot and not interacting with people a lot. So if you definitely rely on social interaction, again, this just might not be for you. So I'm someone that has always taken advanced classes. So I can't speak English. Another question I got asked a lot was, is online school, like the content itself, materials, lessons, and stuff, is it harder than public school? So like I said, I've always pushed myself to the limit by taking advanced classes. So my classes have always been difficult, so that's really tough for me to answer. It was difficult at my brick and mortar school, it's difficult online. That's just how it's always been. I was taking pre-AP classes at my brick and mortar school because I don't think freshmen can't take AP classes at my high school, so I could only take pre-AP, whereas online I could take honors. So I looked up the difference and I think generally honors is easier than AP, but I'm assuming that pre-AP is easier than honors. So I do think that that's why I definitely find online classes a bit harder, especially my biology. It's very difficult. A lot of reading. But yeah, so I definitely think it was more difficult. That is because I jumped from pre-AP to honors, and I do think that honors is probably more difficult. So that's that. If you're on level and you've always been on level, obviously there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I can't really tell you if it's more difficult. I think overall, the fact that you can't interact with the teacher directly and raise your hand to get answers, that makes everything more difficult. But the content itself, I can't really help you there. I'm sorry. Another thing, if you are going into online school, is that you have to make sure you always reach out to your friend, because like I said, they're not there with you anymore. They're not in the classroom. They are going to continue talking to other people, making new friends, talking to current friends that still go to their school. They're going to continue socially thriving where you are going to be at home a lot of the time, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to realize that it's just generally more difficult to interact with you for you to interact with them. So just be patient with them if it feels like you guys are drifting apart. Don't be mad at them. Don't think that it's necessarily their fault. Don't think that it's your fault either that you caused this. Just try and, rekindle with them, talk to them, text them, FaceTime them, meet up with them if you can. Basically what I'm saying is that it's more difficult to maintain a friendship. You have to put more effort into it because you're not seeing them all the time. Another thing I want to mention 100% is a lot of people ask, like, how do you stay motivated? Do you need to have a lot of discipline to do this? And the answer is you need a lot of discipline. There is no teacher that is going to sit there and yap in your ear anymore. Even if they did webmail you, which they don't really. I mean, I've never been behind, so I wouldn't really know, to be honest, but I don't imagine that they do because I have too many students. But they're not going to be yapping in your ear telling you this is due, this is late, you need to do this, get on top of it. You have to do it yourself. Now they do, at Connections at least, they do require you to have a teaching assistant person, one of your adults in your household, to help you out with it and to make sure you're actually doing the work and check off lessons and stuff. So there is that, but if your parent is just kind of checking everything off, putting in attendance, and that's it, and they're not necessarily helping you too much, or maybe they're just really busy, there's no one there that is going to force you to do the work or, wake up at an early time, go to bed at a decent time. You have to do it for yourself. You have to be very dependent and very responsible. For me, that's never been an issue because grades mean, they're my entire life. They mean the world to me, and I will never allow them to slip. So I'm a very dependent person. Oh my god, I keep saying dependent. I said dependent. I'm an independent. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. But yeah, my grades are always very important to me, so I've never let them slip. So I never had an issue with that because I know if I don't put in the work, no one else is going to, and I'm just gonna end up failing. So I don't have many tips for that just because, like I said, I've always done it myself. But if you are someone who you think you might end up slacking off or leaving everything to the last minute, it's very, very easy to get. Again, I don't know if this is only at Connections, I don't know, but at Connections at least, everything is given to you up front. They put it in a planner so you can view any day whenever you want what you have to do, which I love because then you can always look ahead and see how many assignments you have for tomorrow, which is so nice. But yeah, anyways, with that being said, everything is due on the last day of the 9 weeks. So if you wanted to, you potentially could get nothing done and then try and rush it at the end, which I think they would definitely contact you about because you do have to have a certain amount of hours that you spent on school in a week. So you probably get in some angry webmail else, but potentially maybe you could. I've never tried it, but obviously it's easy to get behind. It's easy to do 1 or 2 assignments and then be like, I'll do the rest tomorrow, or they're not due, they're not gonna get counted off if they're late. So who cares? Because like I said, it's so easy to do that, and you can't do that. You can't allow yourself to do that because it is easy. Obviously, if it's not gonna get can't speak English. If it doesn't get points counted off when you turn it in late, there's no real incentive to not turn it in late, which is very useful if you're just running out of time, you are too busy, you know you'll do it the next day. That is so super useful because then you can literally just do it the next day and there was no repercussions for it. But like I said, you have to be on top of it. It's very difficult to fall behind. I can't speak English. It's very easy to fall behind, and I personally think it's hard to catch up just because I don't like doing everything simultaneously or spending 10 hours on school, which I've done before. When I first signed up, like I said, I was a month late and I had to do all of the assignments, all makeup assignments for a lot of classes. So I would spend like 12 hours a day for 3 days doing them all, making sure I got them all done because I had completely caught up within the first 2 days of joining the school, and I had to do like 50 assignments, so it was a lot. So I've been there, I've done that. You do not want to do it. It is not fun. Another really good thing about online school though is that there was basically no homework because you just get it done as when you're doing it and there's no homework. So I think it's great. I think that's a big bonus. Once you get everything done like before 12 o'clock, there's nothing else you have to do unless there's a live lesson. But yeah, I do think that that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. I might make like a part 2. It's already getting pretty lengthy, so maybe a part 2 sometime, explaining maybe more things that you can do or more tips I have, or just how to not fall behind, how to stay organized. I think those are all great ideas and I might do them, but that day is not today. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope that you enjoyed. I hope you helped. I cannot English, Lauren. I hope it helped. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions whatsoever regarding anything I covered today or anything I didn't cover, please leave them in the comments and I will reply to them all. Because I do want to help you guys out. I remember it was such a lift weighted off my shoulders when I started online school. Guys, it's like 20 billion% better for me. Personally, I'm not very social. I don't mind not having social interaction every day. I text my friends and FaceTime them as often as I can. But other than that, I don't mind it. So it's worked out perfectly for me. But it might not work out perfectly for you. So like I said, leave a comment below if you are having troubles deciding if this is a good idea or having troubles of how to even approach your parents with this. For me, I just came right out and said it in front of my mom. I was like, I want to do online school. She was against it. My dad was really against it. I got my mom over to my side. I got also my sister helping me out, and we convinced my dad and we did research, and yeah, it kind of just worked out. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.